In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to install NICE DCV on an AWS EC2 instance. So far, I've shown you videos on how to use Parsec and how to use Moonlight on an EC2 instance. Parsec is easy to install and provides decent quality. Moonlight is a bit harder, but it provides the best streaming experience so far. I'm going to be showing you how to install NICE DCV, which is a company, NICE Desktop Cloud Virtualization. That's where the DCV comes from. It was purchased by Amazon, and they offer it as a high-performance streaming solution for 3D applications and even gaming. So let's get started with that. So here we are in the AWS console as usual, and we'll go to EC2. Make sure you're in the region that you want. I'm actually going to the Milan region this time. And I'm going to click Launch Instance. Now from here, we'll want to choose Windows Server 2019 Base, which is this one here. And we'll click Select. From here, you'll need to choose your instance type. You'll want one of the G-type instances, such as this one. But I'm actually going to go for the lowest type, G4D Large, which has 4 cores and 16 gigs of RAM. From the next page, you don't actually need to change anything, so we'll just click Next. And from here, you can choose your disk size. I'm setting it to 512 gig. And your volume type. I'm setting it to GP3, with IOPS set to 16,000 and throughput set to 1,000, and delete on termination disabled. So these are a bit different to the settings I normally use, but they do provide much better performance for a very reasonable price. I'm also disabling delete on termination, so I can manually snapshot the volume when I'm done. Anyway, I'm assigning a tag. I'll click Next. And here I need to create a security group. And we're going to need to open a couple of ports to allow NICE DCV connections. So first, I'm going to add a UDP rule for RDP, which is not, again, strictly required, but I like to add it. Then we'll need to add port 8443 TCP. And also, if you want, port 8443 UDP. Okay, so you don't see me adding it here, but I did actually add it later. Okay, so now we can click Launch, and as usual, we'll need to create a key pair. Give it a name. And we'll download the key file, and then click Launch Instances. Okay, so we can now see our running instance here. And we'll want to wait a few minutes before we connect to it. Otherwise, we won't be able to get our password. In the meantime, I'm going to create a folder on my desktop. And I'm going to store all files related to this new rig in this folder, just to keep myself a bit more organized. And so I'm going to start by dragging the certificate I downloaded into the folder. Okay, so we'll click Connect now and go to the RDP Client tab. We'll download the remote desktop file. And again, I'm going to move it straight away to that folder. And I will click Get Password. From here, I'll click Browse. And I'll go to the folder and select the key. I'll then be able to click Decrypt Password. And as you can see, the password is there, which I have just copied. So now I'm going to double click on the RDP file to actually connect to the instance that we've just created. So I'll paste the password, which I copied, and click Continue. And in a few seconds, I'll end up on the desktop. And here we are. So the first thing I'm going to do is open the Server Manager. And I'm going to use the Server Manager to disable Internet Explorer Enhanced Security Configuration. Otherwise, browsing the web is going to be really quite a bitch. So I'll click here and I'll disable them both by switching them off and click OK. Now, whilst we're at it, for some other housekeeping, you'll also want to set a password for the administrator account. So I'm going to go to Computer Management from the Start menu. And from here, I'll go to Local Users and Groups, which is, let's see here. Which is here. So I'll go to Users. I'm going to right click on the administrator user and click Set Password. And I'll click Proceed and set a proper password. Okay, so this will make it a bit easier to remember Obviously, still make sure you have a safe password. Okay, so now that that's done, we can actually proceed to installing NICE DCV. This link will be in the description, but this is basically the AWS documentation for installing NICE on Windows. So we're going to use the wizard method here. So the first thing we'll need to do is download NICE DCV. So you'll want to scroll down to the NICE DCV server and download the Windows version. From here, I'll click Run to start the setup. Okay, so next, accept, next. Now you might want to enable USB remotization, which enables you to connect a gamepad and stuff like that to the system. Click next. Leave everything as is. This will automatically create the firewall rules and create a session. Click next. And finally, we'll click install. And as you can see, it doesn't take that long. And NICE DCV server will be installed pretty quickly here. Okay, so that's installed now, and okay, it seems to be adjusting some stuff, as you can see, but don't worry, this is fine. The installation will still work as expected. Okay, so the next step is making sure that our instance can acquire a license for the server. So what you need to do is, again, from this licensing page, which I'm actually going to open up on my host Mac, in my case, we just need to create a policy and attach it to an IAM role, which is in turn attached to the instance. Okay, so we're following this paragraph here, guys. And that's all you need to do to get a license if you're using EC2, which is obviously what we're doing. So first you can copy the policy, and then from the AWS console, go to EC2, go to your running instances, and select the instance we created earlier. And if you go to security, you'll see that currently there is no IAM role associated with this instance. So we're going to go to Services, IAM, and then click on Roles, and click Create Role. And we'll choose the EC2 use case from here, and we'll click Next, Permissions. And from here, we'll click Create Policy. Okay, we'll go to the JSON tab and we'll paste what we copied from the AWS docs. And make sure you replace this region part here with the name of the region you're in, which in my case is EU South 1. You can always get your region name from this pop-up menu here. Okay, we'll click Next, and we can add a tag, which I'm going to do quickly here. And we'll click Next, and we can review the policy here, and obviously we need to give the policy a name. So that's what I'm going to do here. NICE DCV licensing, and create policy. Okay, so that's the policy created. We need to refresh, and now we can search for the policy. Remember, we're attaching it to the role at this point, so we'll search for the policy we just created, which is here. We'll select it and click Next. And again, we can add a tag to this role. So anyway, we'll give the role a name. Okay, create role. All right, so now we have the role with the attached policy. Okay, we can see it here. And as you can see, that policy has been attached, the policy we just created, of course. Okay, so now we can go back to EC2. Okay, back in EC2, we can go to our instance and select it. And we can go to Actions, Security, Modify IAM Role. And from here, we'll choose the role we just created, which is this one. And I'll click Save. Okay, so like that, our instance should have access to license the NICE server. And as you can see here from the Security tab, the role is associated. Okay, so now from the instance, we will disconnect our RDP session. And we need to connect to the system with NICE. So we'll go to NICE-DCV.com from our host computer, and this time we'll download the client. I'm downloading the client for macOS here, but there's also obviously a Windows client, and you can even access your system through a web browser. However, USB remotization only works on the Windows client right now. Okay, so I'll install this Mac client here by just dragging it to my applications folder. No, I apparently already had it, but anyway, I needed to install an updated version. Okay, so we should now have the DCV client to connect to our NICE DCV server. So I'm gonna copy the IP address of the instance and then open the DCV client. Okay, so we'll paste the IP address here. Let's see, connection options. Yeah, as you can see, it does use UDP port 8443 as well, which I didn't add originally in the security group. I only added the TCP port. So we can actually modify our security group. So we can go here to security groups. We can click edit inbound rules and then click add rule, choose custom UDP, port 8443 and accessible from anywhere. And we'll click save rules, or actually we'll put a description there first, save rules. And now, just in case NICE wants to use UDP, it can. Okay, so we'll click connect from the viewer. Okay, and proceed. And now we'll type the administrator as the username. As you can see, it autofills. And we'll type the password we set earlier for the administrator account. All right, and here we are logged into our system using NICE DCV. Okay, so I'm going to install Microsoft Edge here, just so I have a more modern browser. So I'll accept and download, run. So again, guys, whatever browser you prefer using, go ahead and download that. I personally quite like Edge on Windows, but if you prefer Chrome, Firefox, whatever, I mean, of course, choose whatever you prefer. All right, so now from our browser, we'll go to the AWS documentation page for installing the Nvidia driver and follow the steps for option 4. The link is in the video description. Now, before following these steps, you need to make sure that you have the AWS tools for Windows PowerShell properly configured. So before following these steps, I'm gonna switch to that documentation page. Again, guys, all the links I'm clicking here are in the video description. So from this page, we can go to the AWS credentials section. And from here, we should be able to find a code snippet, which we need to paste after making some changes to it. And yeah, this is the one. So we'll copy it. And what I'm gonna do is open it up in Notepad and paste it here. So now you'll need to replace that to default. So make sure the profile name is default. And then from the AWS console, I'm gonna get an access key and secret access key, which will be needed to download the driver. So I'm gonna go to access keys, create new access key, and I'm gonna download it. I'm gonna show it here and I'll copy it and replace the access key parameter. And then I'll repeat the same thing for the secret key. So then I'll copy the whole thing and open up Windows PowerShell. And I'll just right click and press enter to install the AWS credentials profile. Okay, that's done. So now we'll go back to the Nvidia installation documentation and copy the script. And again, right click in PowerShell and press enter to run it. So this will download the AWS specific Nvidia drivers onto the desktop of the instance. Okay, that's done. So now if we go to the desktop, yeah, you can see there's the folder Nvidia. So we'll open that up and go to the folders. And there's the zip file here, which I'm going to extract. Okay, Windows, and make sure you download the version which is for Windows Server 2019, Windows 10, etc. So that one there. And okay, and this is pretty much basic next finish type of installation. All right, so next I'll use the Express installation and just wait for this puppy to finish. Okay, so as you can see, midway through the installation process, the desktop became tiny in my case. Again, this is probably until a restart happens. But before we're done with the Nvidia installer, there's one more thing we need to do. Right, so from the same AWS documentation page, there is this snippet here that you will copy to create a registry entry. Okay, so I copied the normal registry entry command, which is this one. And then from here, I'll open Windows PowerShell, right-click, and press Enter. Okay, the operation completed successfully. Nice. So now one last thing we need to do is we need to create the license. Again, I'll just copy the command, go back to PowerShell, right-click, and press Enter. And as far as installation of the drivers go, we're done. So now what we need to do is restart this VM. In the meantime, I'm going to bookmark this page to run the test command later. But for now, I'll click Start, Power, Restart. And hopefully we should restart into the machine with the Nvidia driver up and running. Okay, so we'll connect back to the machine. Again, administrator as the username and the password we set earlier. And there we go, we're back to a resolution that's proper, and oh look, it's even automatically adjusting the resolution based on our window size. Okay, so as you can see, the installation isn't too difficult. Install the Nvidia drivers, install NICE DCV, and make sure that it can get a license. Now let's look at what happened when I tried to play games on the thing. So we have the Nvidia driver and we have NICE working. I guess we can go to download some games or a game store. In my case, I'm going to install Steam here. You've probably done this a billion times, so I'm just gonna fast forward here, guys. Okay, so in Steam, I'm going to install a game. Obviously, since I did Parsec and Moonlight with Doom Eternal, I'll do NICE DCV with Doom Eternal as well. And I'll just go through the normal download and installation process. Okay, and the download is done. We'll click play. And the first time setup will occur as normal. Okay, and here we are running Doom Eternal. So first impressions are that it's running pretty smoothly, although as you can see, I do have some lag. I don't know whether that's NICE DCV or my laggy Wi-Fi connection, I'm not entirely sure. But it does seem to be working pretty well, and even the text is clear. There's none of that blurriness that you sometimes see. And yeah, okay, so let's see how this goes. Now, full disclosure, I was having some problems with my mouse earlier. It was only moving horizontally or vertically, but not diagonally. So I'm using a gamepad now, which of course, since I have a Mac, means installing the viewer on a Windows virtual machine and forwarding it via USB remotization. It wasn't pretty. But at least I can use the damn game, because seriously, my mouse was so bad I couldn't use it at all before. As you can see, I'm running in 3840 by 2160, so at native 4K. And just scrolling down to the settings, you can see that most of the graphical settings are set to Ultra Nightmare. Alright, and as before, we'll go to a campaign, and I'm going to go to Exaltia, so we can try to have a comparative review. Okay, and here we are. So graphically, The game is running very, very well. But just to explain my setup here, guys, I have a Parallels Windows virtual machine to which I've attached a DualShock PS4 controller, which I've then forwarded via USB remoting to the DCV client that's connected to the DCV server on the rig. Now, what this all means is that I have terrible lag, and I mean measured in seconds, not milliseconds. I press a button and 2 seconds later, maybe something happens. And at this point here, as you can see, my controller got totally stuck. I'm looking at the ground and just shooting the ground repeatedly. Now, obviously, the fact that I was running through a VM doesn't help. However, the NICE DCV docs do say that it's not meant for quick input. There is going to be lag even if you're directly on a Windows client. So I thought maybe my mouse problems were specific to Doom Eternal, so I said I'm going to try another game. So here I am running Black Mesa. Now, at first I was quite hopeful. As you can see here, my mouse is working perfectly in the menu. So I played around with the resolution to get something decent. At this point I was at home, so I had a lower resolution screen. But still, as you can see, it looks like it's working just fine. I play around a little bit with the settings here, crank everything up to the proverbial 11. Okay, so now let's go ahead and actually play the game, or try to. Surface tension, one of my favorite levels. And okay, yeah, instantly something is wrong. So as you can see, guys, I'm trying to control my mouse here, but all I can do is look at the ground and spin either clockwise or anti-clockwise. So graphically, NICE DCV is working perfectly for me, but there's something really, really wrong with the mouse input. So as you can see, I didn't have much luck with NICE DCV. The mouse just wouldn't work at all, and I tried so many things, guys. So I tried different games, I tried reinstalling the Nvidia drivers, I tried USB device remotization, I tried installing the NICE DCV client on a Windows virtual machine and then passing through the USB controller and passing it to NICE DCV. I tried playing using a gamepad, which, to be fair, did kind of work, but the lag was horrible. I mean, there was a 5-second delay between pressing a button and getting the game working. Is this NICE DCV's fault? Well, maybe. It did work perfectly on Parsec and Moonlight, but I have gotten it to work in the past, so maybe it's just something in the latest version. Nevertheless, in an upcoming video, I'm going to be comparing the performance of NICE DCV, Moonlight, and Parsec. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please consider liking and subscribing. And until this next performance review video, thanks for watching.